Welcome to Bite Size Bits this morning, and this morning we're looking at two Web2 tools, TitanPad and also Bubble Us. So we'll start with TitanPad, and I want to put it in the context of what I'm doing with a class at the moment, and this is an RE class. So the students had to research a Christian denomination, and you can see they're all listed there. And what I wanted them to do was essentially work in project teams of 3 and split up the content and research origins, customs, rights and practices, beliefs, symbols, gender roles, etc. about their particular religion. Now, the idea is that they do this in a collaborative way, that they share the learning, and so I thought the best way to do this would be via the use of TitanPad. So I got them to copy the contents of what they were researching, and they flicked across to TitanPad, which is sort of like a collaborative word processor. Okay, whereas Microsoft Word is one-to-one, you know, they're sitting there, they're writing, they're not sharing, they're not collaborating. So the beauty of TitanPad is that it is collaborative, very collaborative. Two or more people can edit the same TitanPad at the same time. Okay, so that's where it is great. So I asked them to go in and create a public pad. And what the public pad feature does is creates a unique URL that they can share with their fellow project members to go into and start editing. So what I did was I just got rid of that text and I pasted the text in for the particular project, and you can see it's color coded that as a nice pink color. That means I am the editor, and as we have other people that come in and join the TitanPad, then they are different colors. If you want to see the sidebar, you can see here that I am listed as Mr. Morris. When other people come in, so for instance, Trish, if you come into that URL, you will be listed here as another participant. Now, a bit of a warning, there is a chat feature here as well, and you know our young ladies love to use chat. So in a classroom, you can either draw attention to it and specify the rules governing the use of the chat, or you can play dumb and just ignore it and go around and I suppose monitor what they're doing in relation to the chat. But they will come across that very quickly. And I suppose, again, it's just setting some ground rules associated with that. So, if we were working on this now, we would go in and focus on the Salvation Army. And at this point, Trish, I might get you to jump into this TitanPad as well. Okay, so you can see now Trish has come into my TitanPad, and Trish, you will be given the role of scribe on symbols. So you can go and find out some of the symbols associated with the Salvation Army, and so then you would be editing the symbols part. So you would be typing in under symbols, and I'm going to do the origins of the Salvation Army in Australia. So I'm typing under that heading. And you can see that we're collaborating, we're working on the same document at the same time, and because it's a Web2 tool, it's automatically saving up there on the TitanPad service. Okay, so I've used this in a class with up to 5 or 6 kids working at a time. I've actually done one activity where all the class were working on the same document at the same time. Okay, now from here, this URL...
Sorry, how did that work, this process?
The whole class, it worked actually quite well.
Because it automatically
Yeah.
puts the other participant on their part of the page.
That's well, it's not necessarily on their part of the page. It has different writing for them, and there are some, and you can see that there are line numbers there. So sometimes they will overtype each other.
Yes.
But if you're doing a shared jigsaw type activity like this is, then the allocation of tasks is done early on, and that works best because then they're typing under, I suppose, a set heading. Okay, so they're off, they're collecting information, they're collating, they're refining, they're interpreting, analysing, etc. And it comes towards the end of the lesson. What happens? Well, this is saving as we're going. Okay, so this URL will remain. But what I say to my students is, okay, go into import and export, and let's just export as a Word document, just so we have a record of what's happened this lesson. Okay, so you click on export as a Word document, and it will then save that. You can see down the bottom left hand corner here, it saves this as a Word document. Now remember, now this becomes individual to me. Alright, so it's no longer collaborative, it's now individual to me, and you know, there are potentially, if we're working in a group of 3, there are now 3 copies of the same document. Okay, what I would say is that it's better to have it in Word to, you know, add images, etc. And if you were asking them to come up with a, you know, A4 page summary sheet for the class, etc., that would be quite beneficial. But the collaborative stuff is best done in TitanPad. Okay?
Yes.
That's pretty much it. It's very, very simple to use. It works really, really well. I've got, as I said, I've got a Year 10 Catholic Studies class working, using it at the moment. Because there are no images involved, it's quite quick. And as I said, the best practice is to clearly define what each student is, I suppose, researching and collecting information on, and that then enables them to pop their information in the right spot.
So basically, with your...
The other good part about TitanPad, in a way, is that it's quick. Yes, there's no need to set up student accounts, etc. Like, it's straight in there and you're away. You're brainstorming, you're collecting, collaborating, etc. It's always important to emphasise, though, that anything on the internet is trackable. So, you know, we're encouraging ethical and safe use of this particular service. And so, therefore, the things like the chat feature, etc., must be, you know, used in a very appropriate and ethical way. Just to emphasise, the chat feature down is in the bottom right-hand corner of the sidebar. You actually have to turn the sidebar on. So there's a little button there, sidebar, and so again, it should really reflect the project work. Could you please add to symbols? You know, and you can see it's dated there and time. There's lots of good collaboration that can happen here, and then
As long as it's
appropriate, and then that feeds back into the TitanPad window. Yep. Okay, so we're just moving on now to Bubble Us, and a lot of research into our young people and the way our young people think at the moment points to the fact that they are visual learners. So, you know, as a teacher, we often use visual learning techniques like a brainstorm at the start of a topic or a concept at the start of a lesson. And this could be done using, obviously, the whiteboard, or in a much neater and long-lasting feature, Bubble Us. Again, you can sign in for this service, which means that you will then be able to store your mind maps for a period. Or, if you're simply using it with the class, you could start brainstorming without the need to sign in. So, we'll do that at the moment. We'll start here, and the concept that we're looking at today is use of technology in schools. I suppose I'd be asking the girls to, okay, come up with some advantages and disadvantages for the use of technology in schools. And there's 2 types of offshoots here. We can have a sibling bubble, which is a bubble to the side of this main idea, or a child bubble, which appears at the bottom. So if we create a new bubble, you can click on that there and you can see it automatically puts that in a different colour. So use of technology in schools, could we think of an advantage? It allows individualised and personalised learning. Okay, we might want a sibling bubble there, so it's on the same level. So these are all our advantages at the moment. It suits many learning styles. Again, we'll go with a sibling bubble. Allows 24/7 access to resources. Okay, so the list could go on and on. These are all our advantages on the right hand side there. And students could further elaborate on these by using the child bubble if they wanted to. So the child bubble, you can see, is an offshoot of that. So they might want to add some further ideas there. Here is where they would then focus on some disadvantages, and again that's a child bubble. Now you can see that's a green bubble there, and if I hover over it for a certain amount of time, we can change the colour. I'm changing it to red. So these are our disadvantages. Disadvantages can be a distraction. Again, colour, hover over it, change the colour to red. Is on it working? Okay, the other thing we could do there is have a sibling bubble there. Again, we seem to have to change the colour of that, but that's okay. Alright, so very quickly you can see I'm developing a mind map. So this could be a student could be taking this down for the rest of the class, or you could be doing it on an interactive whiteboard. Very simple way of collecting and categorizing thoughts. Okay, so you finished your class brainstorm and you say, okay, well, what are we going to do with this? Well, you can export it. So if we export it, it either exports as an image, so a JPEG, which is like a photographic image file format, good for email and posting on the web. However, it will have a white background. So if you're posting this on a blog or a wiki and you want the image to be transparent, you would use the file format PNG. And so you export that, and even though I'm not haven't saved that in terms of a username and password, you can see down the bottom here, if I double click on this, it opens up and there is my mind map of the lesson. Okay, you can email it to students, you could put it in a learning management system, you could put it up on your wiki. That's a snapshot of their ideas in the lesson, and then off that they would then complete some further exploratory work on those ideas. I might just make that point. If you wanted to refer to this again and add further nodes in a future lesson, you would have to sign up to an account. However, if this was just a quick initial brainstorm at the start of the lesson and you didn't want to sign up for an account, that is totally fine. You simply just go in and start brainstorming away. And there's great benefit in the quick and easy startup that is Bubble Us.